When, in 2012, Mr. Toyota and Mrs. Subaru announced the arrival of their twins, GT86 and BRZ, the world rejoiced. Here were two cars designed not to save the planet, nor to take your entire extended family to the seaside in a modular lounge environment. No, they were designed to make you smile. They were small, lightweight, skinny-tired, rear-drive and affordable. This was the beginning of a new age for sporty motoring. Only it wasn't. If you looked hard enough, there've always been affordable cars designed to brighten up your day. Mazda especially has always provided for the enthusiastic driver. That's why it made the simple, wonderful MX-5 and the RX-8. The Honda S2000, meanwhile, is a complete screamer, and it's possible the same applies to the Hyundai Genesis. But I'm not sure, as it's only sold in Korea and the United States.
These are the barroom crooners of the supercar world. Clothed in something approaching more like a classic tuxedo than something from the catwalk, and so just that little bit more everyday, but no less appealing for that. Even its name, California, tells you all you need to know about Ferrari's easy driving car. This is a car in which to enjoy the sunshine, to spend rather more time enjoying the scenery passing by than counting down the meters to the next braking point. The AMG version of the Mercedes SLK and the BMW Z4 S-Drive have no rear seats, but do have engines of impeccable pedigree and rather nifty folding steel roofs. Not as rare as the Ferrari may be, but no less exciting. The Audi TT RS, meanwhile, is neither rare nor a convertible. It is, however, with its 2.5-litre 5-cylinder Rally Quattro engine and 4-wheel drive, unquestionably exciting, but only when you want it to be, which is what this group is all about. Simply going fast was all that was required of what we call sports cars. Not anymore, it seems. Today, a sports car needs to satisfy all our cravings, not just for speed, but for comfort, a sense of style, convenience, practicality, and above all, luxury. Would any of these cars be any worse for not being decorated with bits of dead animals and trees, or with offcuts from racing cars? I'm not so certain. BMW 3 Series you will see every day, not that it makes the M3 any less desirable, inside or out. While the Jaguar XKR-S interior would not be out of place in an 18th century costume drama. But if rarity is in itself a luxury, try the Maserati Gran Turismo with its Ferrari-built V8, or the rare and underrated exercise in beating the Germans at their own game that is the Lexus ISF.
GT this and GT that. Everything is a GT these days, only they're not. GT, it stands for Grand Tourer, or it did. It described the kind of a car a man of means and with time on his hands could drive to wherever he wanted in the world, and always with an exceedingly attractive lady in the passenger seat. These are some of the very best. Close your eyes and you can see the Mediterranean glinting down below. Hear some gentle jazz playing in the background. Was there ever a more beautiful GT than the Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing? Well, yeah, there probably was, the E-Type Jaguar, but the Gullwing is more famous. And was there ever a more famous man of means than James Bond? Here's your chance to drive an Aston Martin DB5. We have the cars, you have the time. So off you go and rediscover Grand Touring. Say hello to Saint-Tropez from me.
Yes. Now somehow a Beetle has got in here. But don't let that put you off. In this little gang from the 60s and 70s, there's also a Lotus Elan Sprint. Old Lotuses remind us that it really is not so complicated to make a car good to drive. Just make it as light as possible and as powerful as is reasonable. Make it have just a little less grip than it actually needs, and, most importantly, make sure the steering wheel is connected directly to the front wheels. No hydraulics, absolutely no electronics. Likewise, if the only Mini you've ever driven in the real world is the comparatively huge car BMW makes today, here's your chance to experience what a team of slightly bonkers Englishmen had in mind when they invented the extremely compact original Mini. Smaller sometimes is better.
Any idiot can build a supercar. Find a giant engine, glue a load of carbon fibre to the outside, give it a silly name, and sell it for £1 million. No need to worry about boot space or comfort or whether the aircon works. But a car that's good to drive and that you can use every day, that's as challenging as building a fighter jet that's also easy to park in a multi-story. But when it goes right, well, you end up with something amazingly special. Something like the BMW M3, one of the very best fast cars of recent years. And don't forget Mazda's RX-7, the Toyota Supra, the original Skyline GTR, provided that is they haven't been improved by a spotty 17-year-old in a daft hat. These, I'm pleased to say, haven't.
It takes a man of a certain age to remember that every racing car that makes us fizz today usually has a grandparent that was pounding around a racetrack somewhere in the distant past. This little group features some of the best from the 60s and 70s and later, yet the names are familiar. BMW, Alfa Romeo, Nissan Skyline. When it's in the blood, it's in the blood. Long before the BMW M3, for example, there was the 2002 Turbo. And long before today's Nissan GTR, there was the original Skyline GTR. And as long as there have been cars in Italy, Italians have been racing them. The Alfa Romeo Giulia Sprint GTA was a kind of Italian M3 of its day and could be found everywhere on racetracks around the world in the 1960s. With its lightweight aluminium body, it's a very lovely thing. So in danger of sounding like a parent making you listen to their music, I suggest you give this lot a go. The new stuff is not always the best stuff. Very closely at this group and you will find the Audi Sport Quattro, a Ford and a Toyota. Otherwise, it's all Subaru Imprezas or Mitsubishi Evos. Literally thousands of them. Of course there are. This is the production rally group after all, and as we all know, only Subaru and Mitsubishi make rally cars. Or did make, at least. However, if you are over the age of 12, and before you all head off down the road in whichever vintage Impreza Evo takes your fancy, do take a steer in the Escort RS Cosworth. Because without the Ford, there would be no Evos and Impreza. The Cosy invented the concept of a car as hooligan. Think about it. Largely unsophisticated 4-cylinder turbocharged engine? Check. Unjustified sense of invincibility inspiring 4-wheel drive? Yes. Leery aerodynamic appendages? Oh yes. Not that you care, what with all those Imprezas and Evos to play with.
Come to the hot hatch group and never underestimate how important hot hatchbacks are. Back when they first appeared, they gave drivers hope. They showed that a sports car didn't have to be a rusty, leaky old Triumph or MG. It could be practical, convenient, and still amusing enough to give you cramp in your smile muscles. The hatches here are some of the best of the breed, starting with the excellent Ford Focus ST, which gives a textbook demonstration of how a hot hatch can be sensible every day, yet still give you kicks when you drive it like your trousers are on fire. Then there's the VW Scirocco R, technically a coupe, but it has a hatchback and with 260 horsepower, it's definitely hot, so it's going in here. And if it's even half as likeable as the Mark I Scirocco I owned many years ago, then you'll want to marry it.
You can pretty much carbon date a chap, or for that matter the right kind of girl, by their hot hatch of choice. Like a first pin-up, a first LP, look that up if you're under the age of 30, or a first crush. Hot hatches are part of the fabric of us. Me, you, Clarkson, even May. Because it was okay to dream about hot hatches long before you were ever old enough to think about actually owning one. And it was okay to do that because we all might, if we worked hard at school, actually one day be able to afford one. So where are you going to start? Where hot hatches did with the VW Golf GTI, or its slightly chubbier but faster offspring, the Mark II GTI 16 valve. Then again, maybe Volkswagens aren't your thing. So there are Honda Civic Type Rs or a Renault Clio V6. But remember what I said. You can tell a lot about someone by the hot hatch that he or she craves.
There are are those among us who believe that small is better. That little something with the bulk engineered out of it must necessarily be more highly evolved. Phones, gadgets, television presenters. When it comes to cars, it should be relatively simple. Small cars have space only for small engines, and small engines, as we all know, means small power. However, small can also mean nimble. There is simply less of the car to change direction, so it can do so more quickly. But here's your chance to decide for yourself, with some small cars with enough power to make them a lot more than merely entertaining. The Fiesta ST is one of the very best, as befits a car that's competed on the World Rally Championship. As of course has the Citroën DS3, though the Citroën, like the Fiat Abarth 500 SS, clearly feels the need to tell the world that with some frankly silly graphics. What is it that makes all things small need to overcompensate with an unnecessarily showy appearance? Trucks on Top Gear. First we tried to kill one, and then, when we couldn't, we took it to the North Pole. And it got us there safely. Never broke down once, except when Jeremy crashed it, because he's a moron. Anyway, trucks of course mean different things to different people. We call the pickup that took us to the pole a truck, while Americans call a Range Rover a truck. We call it the best car in the world, ever. Especially this one, the very latest all-aluminium supercharged V8. Here is a car that will do anything you ever ask of it. The Jeep Cherokee SR T8 is an American attempt to create a kind of hot rod Range Rover. For people who love buying petrol, lots of it. Americans have been making cars like this for a long time. The GMC Cyclone is our kind of truck, a pickup, only with a turbocharged V6 and four-wheel drive. That means it can reach 60 miles per hour in less than 3 seconds.